Hi everyone, it's Jill. I just wanted to pop on today and make a video response. This is a video response to Mom Calls Me Sherry. I believe it's momcalzmesheri. I believe it's Mom Calls Me Sherry. And this is pretty much a video response just explaining a little more in detail my own feelings about selfishness. She recently did a video or a vlog on selfishness and her thoughts and opinion on whether it's negative or positive and her feelings on that. So I did, however, agree with her 100% that really there is some good to being selfish. There's some goodness in being selfish, especially, you know, when you're giving yourself too much to other people and you're not thinking of yourself. I think by all means that the first person you should take care of is yourself, and then once your own needs are met, then you can help others. However, it all really depends on the actual situation. And that's my opinion. I'm going to just give you a brief explanation of selfishness and what it means. I'm on Wikipedia. Selfishness denotes an excessive or exclusive concern with oneself. As such, it exceeds mere self-interest or self-concern insofar as a decision maker knowingly burdens or harms others for their own personal gain. The decision is selfish. In contrast, self-interest is more general. Self-interest is merely including one's own needs and desires in the scheme of things. It is inclusive to both cooperation and selfishness. If you go down a little bit, basically selfishness is harming someone else in order to help oneself out. And that, to me, brought up another issue or topic of being egotistical, or when the ego is the utmost priority. I think when someone's ego is the only priority, then to me ego is really in control of that person and their life and their thinking process and pretty much everything. It doesn't have to be so, but it is when people are selfish. Selfishness can be for good. When I say this, it can be because, you know, you're thinking of yourself. Why would you help someone else when you need help yourself? For example, let's say, you know, you have 4 kids, 2 kids, whatever, and you make a paycheck, you're hourly paid, and you just make enough money each week to get paid and make ends meet in your family life. You're able to pay the bills, keep a roof over your head, put food on the table for your children, clothe yourselves, pay the utility bills. That's about it. People that live on a budget and kind of have it, you know, where they're having issues or difficulty trying to get by each month or each week, they tend to be more realistic and hold their purse strings a little harder, stronger, and tend to be a little more selfish. Not like indulging, but selfish, meaning they have to hold on to everything a little more and worry more because they want to survive. They have to keep their heads up, you know. Well, here's an example. This is my example. I think the perfect example of selfishness to me with egotism or ego is Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol. If you don't know the story, the tale of Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol, I really advise you or encourage you to either read it, pick up the book and read it. It's really, really good. Or you can also rent the video or watch it on Netflix, whatever. But there's several versions of the Christmas Carol, or A Christmas Carol. And it's really, really good. Basically, it's a story about Ebenezer Scrooge. Okay. The most recent story was with Jim Carrey. and he morphs his voice into a miserable miser, egotistical, selfish Ebenezer Scrooge. Okay? And it's basically an adaptation of Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol. Basically, Ebenezer Scrooge, he is visited by his late friend and colleague, Jacob Marley. Jacob Marley died 7 Christmases ago. And so Jacob Marley comes to Ebenezer Scrooge one night, and he's trying to warn him of his misgivings, telling him that he's living in the afterlife with great pain and suffering. And he's trying to explain to Ebenezer not to make the same mistakes as he did. Now that he's gone past and he's living in the Summerland, he is pretty much a tormented soul. And it's so because he lived just like Ebenezer does. He was very selfish. He didn't care about anyone else around him. He didn't care about his own life and how it affected the people around him. And he comes to Ebenezer Scrooge, or Scrooge, and tries to tell him with 3 specific ghosts that he will be visited by a ghost of the Christmas past, ghost of Christmas present, and ghost of Christmas future. Okay? Well, he doesn't believe it. And lo and behold, sure enough, that's what happens. And he goes back into his past with the Christmas past, and he sees several Christmases and things that have taken place. And then he goes to Christmas present, and so forth and so on. And long story short, basically, he realizes the errors of his way and his misgivings. He realizes that his associate, Bob Cratchit, has a son named Tiny Tim and other family members, and they are very, very poor. And he only gives him a shilling in his pay each week or month. And long story short, I really don't want to spoil it for all of you, but at the end of the story, Scrooge realizes that his own ego was in the way. And he was so selfish and only cared about his money and his fortune and himself. But in the meantime, everything that he did with his money and everything that he did only caring for himself, in the long run affected Bob Cratchit and Bob's family and everybody else around him, including Scrooge's own family. So, I don't want to ruin it for all of you. If you haven't seen the movie Christmas Carol, or if you haven't read the book by Charles Dickens, you know, again, I encourage you to go read it. It's very, very good. It's actually a classic. It's one of my favorite tales. And that's pretty much it. I hope this can kind of sum up how I feel. I know I gave it away a little bit by saying, you know, I used that as an example, but pretty much what I'm trying to get at is this. I think selfishness is okay when it's used for some good. But when selfishness is only for your own gain, at your own expense, and it affects people around you in a negative way, then I think it's all about ego and you're too egotistical. And I think you need to step back and try to take a bigger look at the overall picture and realize how you affect others and stuff. But yeah, that's just my take on it. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll see you soon. I'm going to be making some more videos shortly about the diary of an empath. Okay, so thanks for watching, and as always, brightest blessings, love and light. Bye now.